Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Social Pulse channel. Today, we're unpacking a moment that stirred up a lot of conversation and controversy. The dress worn by Dr. Karri Turner Bryant at the UNCF Mayor's Mass Ball and the wave of reactions that followed online. Now, let's set the scene. Dr. Karri Turner Bryant, wife of Pastor Jamal Bryant, wore a black lace gown with flesh tone illusion fabric, a look that some called elegant and others labeled inappropriate. The backlash was swift, especially online, where critics questioned whether such attire or dress was fitting for a pastor's wife. But Pastor Bryant didn't stay silent. During his New Year's Eve service, he addressed the controversy head on, saying, I bought the dress and I like it. And if there were many other statements that I'm sure you guys have heard by now. But nonetheless, he reminded the congregation as well as the internet that his wife is married to him and not to the public opinion. And I can understand that, who doesn't want a man that's not going to stand up for you and that's not going to take up for you as well. However, I don't know if the New Year's Eve service was the appropriate place to have that conversation. Now, depending on where you stand, this might look like a bold fashion statement to some or a breach of modesty. So, what's really at stake here? This definitely is not just about the dress. Even his ex wife, Giselle Bryant, was also known for her flair for fashion, wearing dresses on the edge, as she was also a pastor's wife. He's been a pastor for many years, I believe over 20 years. So both women, share a love of fashion. And sometimes I guess you could consider fashion on the edge for a pastor's wife. Now, let's talk about the intersection of faith, fashion, and public perception, especially when you're in the spotlight. As a pastor's wife, some critics will say the illusion fabric was too provocative, while others argue it was elegant, tasteful, and appropriate for the event. It's about how we define modesty, leadership, and personal expression in faith communities. Some argue that spiritual leaders and their spouses should model restraint and avoid anything that could be seen as provocative. Others say that faith isn't about policing fashion or women's bodies and that context matters. After all, this was a gala, this was a formal event and not a church service. They were not at the pulpit. And then there's Pastor Jamal's fiery defense, where he boldly stated, again, that he bought the dress. He says, I bought the dress and I like it. And that line has become just a cry for those pushing back against body policing in the church. Pastor Brian also pointed out something that got lost in the noise. The event raised $4 million for historically Black colleges and universities, known as HBCUs. And now that's a massive achievement and that's fantastic, but the headlines was focusing more on fabric than on impact. We could also say that, unfortunately, the attention may have been cut short because of the dress. So, unfortunately, that did not get a lot of attention. So, here's the question I want to leave you with. Are we more concerned with appearances than outcomes? And when we critique someone's clothing, are we protecting values or just projecting our discomfort? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Was this a case of misplaced outrage or a legitimate concern about spiritual representation? And how do we move forward in a way that honors both personal dignity and communal standards, as well as allowing individualism and personal fashion to exist in the same moment? I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen and come with open ears and an open mind. Thanks for watching. If you found this thought-provoking, please hit the like button and subscribe for more conversations that go just a little bit beyond the surface and gives us an opportunity to look at things from both perspectives. Thank you again. Goodbye.